Hi guys, Maikeru here. This is my video on the brand new skilling boss that is coming next Monday, the 27th of September. This is the third front of Elder God Wars, and we are going against Croesus, who is the new skilling boss. Pretty excited to dig my teeth into this, and I was able to go on the Runescape live stream and talk to them and ask them some questions. So I have a lot of info that I was able to gather and additional stuff that I was able to ask and just, cover all bases pretty much of the key things. That was really helpful. So without further ado, let's get into it and showcase what it's going to be and what it's going to give as rewards. I will leave a link in the description down below to this news page, which gives you all of the information that I'm going to cover in this video. The Croesus front is a skilling front, so instead of having Slayer creatures outside, they have skilling nodes that you can actively train on. They told me that the XP will be very comparable to current methods, or if it's a little bit slower, it'll be more AFK or whatever. These skilling nodes are woodcutting, mining, fishing, and hunter, so those 4 skills are the ones that you'll be training. You'll need at least 88 in the skill to train here, and then sometimes when the nodes get mutated, it is level 92 required. That's quite a high level skilling method for all woodcutting, mining, fishing, and hunter. Fighting the boss Croesus himself does not have any level requirements, but they do recommend to have 80 in those skills. You'll be using all 4 of those different skills, fishing, mining, woodcutting, and hunter, to kill this boss as well. So having high levels in those stats is going to help you more and give you more of a contribution to get better loot, and obviously XP rate scale. You'll get more XP at higher levels. They didn't actually specify in the news post how the loot is going to be distributed, but I asked them on stream and I managed to get a pretty decent answer. So the more people you have doing the kill, the less loot you'll get, and the less people doing the kill, the more loot you'll get, right? The loot piles are distributed by effort. So if you are putting in a ton of effort and there's like an AFK guy, the AFK guy will get nothing because he's completely leeched. So you can't just leech this and get loot. And then the guy who's like super trying and doing a ton will get a ton of loot. So the better you do, the better your loot. Really nice. You cannot die in this boss fight, but you can fail it. There's a recommended team size of 8, but they did say there'll be dedicated worlds for this, and you'll be able to join public instances, so you don't have to find specific people to go with. You can join the public ones, or you can build your own group and go with them. Just because it's recommended 8 doesn't mean you can't do it with less people. They gave an example of doing it with 4 people, but you all have to like really try, and you'll get more loot each doing it that way rather than having 8 people. They said this encounter is very hard to solo, and if you do pull it off, it's going to take you a very long time and probably not going to be worth it. So it is probably good to group up with at least a couple of people. Throughout the fight, there will be a skill drain. As you can see in this GIF, it puts like something on the floor by the look of things and drains your skills, so I'm guessing you're going to have to leave there and go do something else. And I'm guessing super restores and things like that will probably give you your stats back, so it'll be worth using stuff like that. As it's a skilling boss, the rewards represent a boss as well, and it's absolutely insane what some of the rewards are. One thing I do want to mention that I asked the JMods is that it is a requirement for Insane Final Boss and Final Boss. So you're going to need the boss pet for IFB and 100 kills for FB. And you can get a Reaper task for it and get your Reaper done via this skilling boss, which is actually really cool. It has a boss log, and each of these items as a reward are in the log, so you have to complete your log fully if you want to get Golden Reaper, etc. The first reward is the Crypt Bloom armor. The Crypt Bloom armor is tier 90 tank armor, and it has the same armor values as Acto, as I asked them for specifics. There is a couple of set bonuses. At 2 set, the incoming magic damage is reduced by 12%, and incoming melee damage is reduced by 8%, and there is no reduction to range because of the combat triangle. Magic is weak to range, so they left that one out. Once you get 3 pieces, it increases the magic damage reduced further by 6%, and the melee damage reduced by 4%. That takes you to an 18% magic reduction and a 12% melee reduction, which is pretty damn huge, especially if you're using protection prayers on top of that, and animate dead. And then in addition to this, if you're using earth spells, they're doubled. So that is a 36% reduction for magic and a 24% reduction for melee. That is nuts. At 4 pieces, you get an additional effect, which is a 6% chance to inflict your target with Croesus death spores every time you take damage. The death spores will increase the damage that monster takes from behind by 10%. That's a pretty strong buff in group bosses. Could be good tank armor for raids and stuff like that, right? Then when you have all 5 pieces equipped, when you fall below 20% HP, you gain a fungal shield. This scales with your armor rating and defense level, and it lasts 15 seconds, or until it's obviously consumed by damage. That could be absolutely insane when using stuff like Animate Dead to increase your armor value. That could be such a big shield. This shield does have a 120-second cooldown. That tank armor is pretty damn strong, and I know a lot of people like their AFK methods with Animate Dead. This could make it so much easier. Next up, we have skilling offhands as drops. There is one for woodcutting and one for mining. The mining one gives you an increased critical strike chance and critical strike damage when equipped. It's 10% crit and 35% crit damage. So you're just going to get better progress when mining the ores. Then in addition to this, when mining ores with the hammer equipped, you'll have a chance of receiving death spore arrow tips. The higher tier of ore that you're mining, the better chance of the arrow tips and the more arrow tips you get. These arrow tips are actually really, really awesome, and I'll go into those in just a second because the other skilling offhand gives different arrow tips. The woodcutting offhand gives you a 6% increased success chance when woodcutting and a 20% chance of an extra log. Then you have the chance of receiving splintering arrow tips. The higher tier of the log, the higher chance, and the more you get. Now the arrows themselves are pretty damn strong. I asked a couple of things about these arrows. One, that they are tier 95. And 2, these effects have to be used while wearing a bow. You cannot swap weapons after gaining these effects and benefit from them. It has to be triggered and used with a bow. So you can't swap to crossbows and stuff and do some crazy things. But the Hex Hunter is a bow, so these are going to be insane with the Hex Hunter at certain places. The splintering arrows cause any attacks used within 4.2 seconds after greater dazing shot to apply puncture. And it increases the maximum number of puncture stacks to 13 from 10. This is pretty damn insane because you can greater dazing shot and then greater ricochet with Karamin 4 and instantly gain 7 additional stacks with greater ricochet. That means that you can get your puncture stacks and use Salt the Wound so easy with these arrows. The Death Spore arrows, on the other hand, increase your critical strike chance by 3%, which is pretty damn good. Especially because you'll be using the ring that increases your crit alongside it, right? Because you're using a bow, and you're going to be critting a lot, especially if you're using a grimoire. And these synergize so well with crit, because every time you crit, you gain a stack of festering spores. At 5 stacks, you'll gain a buff, which makes your next range ability no adren, which means you can get 3 ultimate abilities, a free dark bow, whatever the hell you want, and that is so much adren saving, it is mad. The effect sadly has a 60-second cooldown, but each time you crit while using these arrows, it decreases the cooldown by 1.8 seconds. So if you're constantly critting because you have the Grimoire active and you're getting the buff from the ring from Rex Matriarchs and all of that, your crit chance is going to be very high and you're going to reduce this cooldown a lot. So you may be able to use this every 40 seconds, for example, instead of 60, which would make it a lot better. We also asked how these arrows were made, and they are used with Elder arrow shafts. So it gives another use for Elder logs, I guess, and makes them fairly expensive. There is also a seed bag. We've been waiting for ages for a seed bag. It stores up to 40 types of different seeds. And you'll just be able to pick up the seeds as you go, collect them in your bag when doing Slayer or whatever, and it makes life much easier. Just like your herb bag and, everything like that. Next up, we have the Grasping Rune Pouch. The Grasping Rune Pouch is an upgrade to your existing rune pouch, and it holds up to 4 runes instead of 3. It gives you a +4 prayer bonus, and a 25% chance to not use runes using combat spells. So the spells that you're casting, stuff like, Exsanguinate and stuff, are going to cost way less with that 25% saving. 4 extra prayer bonus is quite nice because then it rivals the Quiver, and it holds up to 4 runes instead of 3. So that upgrade to the rune pouch is huge. Sadly, they didn't include the last item in this news post, and that is the God Book. There is a God Book from this one, just like there's the God Book of Jazz and Wen. This will have the God Book of Bic. What this God Book does is when it's activated and you're skilling, doing any skill, it can be artisan, gathering, whatever, just like the Brooch of the Gods, it can proc and give you a blessing style thing that you click, similar to, Grace of the Elves and Brooch of the Gods, When you click it, it gives you a chance of getting 1 to 3 clue scrolls. And the clue scrolls are weighted more so to give you elites. This could be really insane, because imagine clicking 2 that you got in the hour, getting 6 elite clues, and then also getting 1 from Prosper or something. This could be a viable way to farm elite clues, and could be better than Shadow Creatures. If it is, I'll be so happy. They also said that they're pretty sure it bypasses the cap the same as Prosper, so you can get more than your like 25 or 50 elites this way and just AFK for ages, get like 100 elites and do them. That would be so nice. The only issue is you can't wear the Brooch of the Gods and this new God book, which means if you have urns in your Brooch of the Gods, you can't use them. And obviously you can't get the Brooch of the Gods blessing as well as this one. So that's kind of a little bit of a shame because they both share that pocket slot. I did ask them if they had any plans or anything like that to make it work from the inventory or maybe remove the urns from it. And they said on release, you won't be able to use both the brooch and the God book, but they are looking into ways to allow that, which is really big. And that'll be it for today's video. I am super hyped for this skilling boss. It is coming on the 27th, so next Monday. I'll see you guys then for another video on the first look of it and talking about the boss. I'm pretty stoked. I think it'll be really cool. Do give the video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new for loads of future content, all related to RuneScape 3. And until next time, see ya.